So the authorities just took away these important off-grid tools. So I'm going to show you around today and tell you how devastating this is to us. I'm actually a little bit concerned about what's going on here. So today I'm filling the water tank. As you probably know, I haven't showed this in a long time, but I have a 275 gallon water tank. It's an IBC tank. You can get these off Facebook Marketplace all the time, pretty cheap. Got my mouse trap there, just in case there's ever a mouse in here. I think we got this one for $50 or $75, something like that. Make sure they're food grade, because sometimes they have chemicals in them, so you want to make sure that they had food in them. Even if you wanted to buy a new one, they're like $300. We've hooked an RV water pump up to it down here at the bottom. I'm not going to dig into that again. I've showed that before. And that pumps the water from here into the house. So we use the well to fill the water tank. Now, people will ask me, why don't we use the well just to go right into the house? Because we live off grid. We have batteries. So at nighttime, we have no solar. So everything's running off batteries during the night. It would take an enormous amount of batteries to power the well. In order to power the well with the solar panels, the sun really needs to be pretty high up in the sky. And we also have the freezer. I want to put that in a little caveat into there also. The freezer runs during the night off the batteries. During the day, if we didn't have the freezer, I could probably run the well just fine anytime during the daytime. But at night, it's all on batteries. Now people are gonna tell me, well, get more batteries, get more batteries. Well, at some point, you're like, okay, how many batteries do you really want or need? It's just easier for me to run an RV pump. The well pump takes about 700 watts, maybe 800 watts, something like that. I forget, I even forget what horsepower it is, but it's a submersible well pump. So it goes down 100 feet, well, probably 130 feet. It's a deep well pump is what it is. Now you can buy different pumps. This is the one I knew how to do the best. I understood this one the best, and it was real cheap. I could use it with a 110 outlet. So my little generator runs it just fine, and my inverters run it just fine. I'm not trying to make this too complicated. But in the end, it was just easier to run water at night. If we wanted to take a shower in the winter at 4 p.m., we wouldn't have been able to do it if we ran off the well pump like every other house in the world does. I think the RV pump takes 6 amps, so that's probably 72 watts. You kick it on, it runs for a few minutes, it shuts off. It's not a lot, and the batteries handle that just fine. So a big difference between 700 or 800 watts with the well pump versus 72 watts with the RV pump. So we can run that at night. And it works really well. So about every 5 days, I have to fill this. Well, I don't have to. It would probably actually last us 20 days of water. The reason I fill it about every 5 days is because in case the well pump or the generator or something were to break, I still have water in the tank that would allow me time to get those things replaced. Or there's a natural spring down the hill a ways. I could go to the natural spring, get some buckets of water, bring it back up here, put it in the tank. Well, this past week it's been pretty busy for me, so I let the thing go for about 10 days. So normally I let it get down to a quarter of a tank, then I fill it. Well, this time it was a half a tank. When I do that, I got to be careful with the well. The well was dug back in the 60s, and so they didn't dig it very deep. Nowadays, they dig them 400 or 500 feet. This one was 130 feet. So it's pretty shallow. Although it's down in bedrock, it's still pretty shallow. So it drains pretty quickly. Now, back in the old days, they used above ground pumps, and they sucked the water out of it. You can still buy those, but they're just not quite as efficient. They run really slow. And like I said, I knew how to operate this one better than I did that one that they ran back in the 60s. So this one pumps about 15 gallons per minute. If I were to open this up all the way, let it run as fast as it can, it runs the well dry. And it takes 20 minutes or so to fill back up. Again, on these older wells, there's a layer of sediment at the top of the water level. It looks dirty. If I drain that well down too far, I get into that dirty water. It took me a long time to figure this out. Actually, my dad and I had to kind of talk through it to figure it out. So what I do is I only run it until that quarter tank. So today it was at half a tank. So I filled it up to a quarter tank, and then I shut it off for 20 minutes. That way the water in the well could rise back up. I didn't want to suck that water down too far. I run it really slow, but just in case. It's an old well. People will tell me, oh, you got a junky well. Of course, they use other words. I don't have a junky well. This whole property costs $4,200. If I were to have a well dug now, it would be $5,000 just for the well, to have it dug and all that. And I wouldn't be able to do it because then they want to run it into the house and I'd have to have regular electricity. Of course, I could get a solar powered well pump, but that's DC electric. DC pumps, you have to pull out regularly and replace the, can't think of the name of it right off the top of my head, but there's little magnets and stuff in there. You got to replace those because those wear out. Now I run it off a generator. I've told you this before. It's gonna be a little noisy over here, but I think you can handle it. So that is the dual fuel generator. It runs off gasoline and propane. I run this one off propane when I'm running the well because I don't run the well that often, every 5 to 10 days. If gasoline sits in the engine for like 30 days, it says this in the instructions, it can go bad and rot the gaskets in your carburetor. I actually had a generator, a Champion generator, a few years ago when we were nomads, and I left the gas in there for, well, probably 30 days, and it chewed through that carburetor. So I run this one off propane because propane doesn't hurt the generator. I don't have to worry about running the gas tank empty. This one's 2,500 watts. Now, it doesn't run that many watts with propane. That's with gasoline. I think it's 1,800 watts. Now, that's peak watts. That means when you plug something in, like your well pump, it'll run up real fast, and then comes back down to that 800 watts. With propane, it runs about 1,800 watts at peak. I like it, but it's really hard to pull. I don't know why it's hard to pull, but I have to use both hands with that one because it jerks my hands back. It slapped my hand before. I thought it broke my hand. I'm not complaining about it. I really like it. This has all been a learning process for me because I'm trying to use modern technology on an ancient well. I've fixed the well up. I've put a cover over it. I've concreted it. I've put a well casing. It's actually it's like a sleeve or a boot. I forget what that's called also. There's videos on it. You can go to my playlist. I show you everything I did with the well. I showed you how to put the pump in. And then I have another generator down here. And this generator is pretty old. I'm guessing it's heading on to 5 years. And I use it almost every day in the winter. And then in the summertime, I run it probably once a week. This one I got at Tractor Supply Company. It's always had a problem with burning oil. I've had several Champion generators in the past. Used to be come in cubes. The generator came in a cube box, basically. Well, now they're in a suitcase shape. I've never had a problem with any of them ever smoking, but this one has smoked ever since I got it. It's not a big deal, but the older it gets, the more oil it uses. And like I said, in the wintertime, I run it pretty frequently. I just bought a new battery yesterday. I've installed a new battery. Recently, we just bought a freezer. We were running a little dorm-sized refrigerator with a freezer, but now we've got this freezer. It does run more, and so I needed to get another battery. In the meantime, trying to figure all that out, I was running the generator twice a day, just making sure that the batteries were okay. I didn't want to ruin the batteries by draining them too low. I keep thinking maybe I should replace this, although we have that other one. And then when this one's not running right, I do bring that one down here and I run it. I keep thinking maybe I should just go to Tractor Supply and get another one of these. They sell them all the time. But it just keeps running, so I don't really see the point of buying another one yet. Tractor Supply is probably 60 miles from here. If it went dead, I have that one, other one as a backup, and we could run to Tractor Supply and get another one. I think I'm just gonna hang on to it, let it run dead. I've only had to do one thing to it. I had to replace the rope. It broke. And at that time, I thought, you know what, I'm gonna retire this one. I'm not gonna replace it. But I went ahead and replaced it. It was like 10 bucks to replace that. It wasn't hard to replace, and it just keeps going. I'm really proud of this. It's gonna be a sad day when this one dies. I told you a while back that it's got a low oil shutoff sensor. And one morning I came down here and I tried to start it, and the low oil shutoff light came on. So I added a little oil, but I didn't have a full bottle. I just had a little bit. I thought that's enough. It's a funnel. It was a funnel full, and it wouldn't start. I don't know. I was tired or something. I mean, I just wasn't thinking clearly. So I figured, that low oil shutoff sensor is bad. Well, they're not actually that hard to replace. So I started taking it apart. I was going to replace that. Well, I was just going to disconnect is what I was going to do, which kind of scared me because this one uses oil so bad. I don't know, when I woke up and I started taking it apart, I realized, well, maybe there's not enough oil in it. So I went and got more oil, started right up. I know, that's silly. Now, the other gas engine I have is the lawnmower. I haven't showed this in a long time. And I don't use this too much. I really try to take care of it and keep it safe. And I don't want to just tear it up. I really like it. I mean, I really like it. Got the chains on it. I don't get stuck with those chains anymore. I mean, I just don't get stuck. And I got a little wagon I can pull around for firewood. I feel spoiled with it. It uses a lot of gas. It cut the yard. It takes 2 gallons to cut the yard. I think it's 2 gallons. Maybe it's, I don't know. It uses a lot of gas. So last year, I tried to wait as long as I could to cut the grass. And I probably only cut the grass 5 or 6 times last summer. I mean, gas prices were so high. And we use gas for the generator. And I don't want to put the hours on it. It doesn't even have 50 hours on it. It hasn't even went to its first oil change yet. Although I have changed the oil. You don't have to change the oil except for every 50 hours. Make sure that it had all the safeguards on it. I went ahead and bought a bumper for it. Well, there's a rabbit. Startled the heck out of me. That way I can bump into things and I don't tear up the plastic hood on it. Oh, I forgot about the other gas engine I have. It's the tiller. We probably won't use this too much more. The tiller we bought used for like $100, and I had to rebuild the carburetor. I keep it covered up here. Got the gas treated. I got the gas treated in the lawnmower also. I got videos on this, but I don't think I have them in a playlist, where I was able to tow this behind the lawnmower. I was pulling the tiller backwards, and I was able to till the yard on the lawnmower. Sure did save the back. Trying to run that tiller, holding that tiller on this hard ground, because I don't have a plow, and it did a nice job. Those are the engines that we have, but as I reported in the past, California is banning these engines, and we're only going to be able to use battery operated or electric items to cut our grass and things. The other thing that they're going to ban is chainsaws. So anything under 25 horsepower, well, I don't know if that's for California, but Minnesota is just wrote legislation for the same thing. And anything under 25 horsepower, they're banning. So there's 2 states either going to ban or did ban equipment that I have to have. Fortunately, I live in Missouri, so hopefully Missouri won't do these things while I'm alive. When my generator is old and smoking and things, makes me think, should I get another one just in case? I guess I'll just have to adjust. I guess I have to buy more batteries and just more solar panels and just adjust. But generators make this life so much easier. So if you click this up next box, take you to a video where I'm showing you a conservation area near us. So if I can inspire you to think ahead before they ban it all, so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.